Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I call myself the Matrix Doctor because I am a physician and noticed a couple of years ago that even though I have a great income, I wasn't getting there. And what does I wasn't getting there mean? It means that my savings weren't progressing at a rate that I could expect to ever be able to retire, even though I and my family were not spending like madmen, meaning not living it up, not driving luxury cars, having a luxury house, or any of those things that you would assume would go along with a doctor's income. That what you have seen in past decades is long gone. That doesn't exist anymore. And when physicians already have a hard time of making ends meet in the sense of not becoming financially free, then how is it supposed to be for you? And my family most certainly doesn't have any physicians in its line, doesn't even have anybody who studied anything in its line. So, what did I do to be on my road, on our road of financial freedom? That is what I'll relay to you. Nothing of what I say, do, or point to is to be considered financial advice. This is not financial advice. This is just you and I having a chat on what might get us there to get that level of freedom that we want to attain. My central point is that one has to think for oneself. I have to think for myself in my profession. There's nobody else telling me how I should do my reports. And so I have to base my assessment on the information that I've gleaned over the years from this textbook, that textbook, different lectures. It is an art. Medicine is still an art, and life is an art. The question is, what kind of art do we want? What kind of picture do we want to produce? Where do we want to go to? And yes, one can have fortunate circumstances, no doubt about it. One can be so fortunate to live in the right country. Imagine you're in a war-torn country. Well, that's more than just bad luck. But one does have a lot under control on what to do with whatever baseline you have. And that is what I will try to address, to maybe give you some ideas, a springboard where you can develop your own thesis, where you can develop your own plan on how to achieve the things that you want to achieve. So don't consider this advice, just consider this as someone sharing things which helped me. It might not help you, it might, your choice. So, what will I talk about today? And that is that I came here. If you give me a second, because it disappeared again. Came across a post by someone here on X, which I thought was highly interesting, and that has to do with allow me to read what I wrote to this here. Well, what do you do with the Bitcoin? When are you going to sell? Maybe it comes across. What do you do with your Bitcoin? When are you going to sell? And this Glenn Hodl, you see his handle, GLENNHODL. He posted, well, don't sell your Bitcoin to buy a house right now. That is what I'm inserting there, the right now. Don't sell your Bitcoin to buy a house. Within 5 years or so, you'll be able to buy a house without selling a single sat. A sat is a Satoshi. And for those who don't know yet, a one Bitcoin is made up of 100 million Satoshis. As a dollar has 100 cents, as a euro has 100 cents, and your currency most likely is similar, that it has whatever name it has, and then 100 of pennies, cents, or whatever your currency has as smaller increments of that currency. And he lays out here on how Bitcoin will serve as collateral. Now, let's just say I never made a financial degree. I've read myself into this because around 7 years ago, I noticed that, well, and I'm now in my early to mid 50s. I noticed that my savings, even at my income level, would never get me there. So I began reading up. And these things that I'll relay will come somewhat at a random order, depending on current events and things that I stumble across. But I do also have a concept in mind, so you can bear with me. Maybe you'll find it interesting what I have to share. And one thing I'll just say up front, I will never have any advertisements on my channel. I will never do any product endorsements or suddenly any breaks where you have to listen to some kind of product, be it a soap, a shampoo, a Bitcoin product, whatever. This is not, if you're looking for that, this is not the show that you want to subscribe to. But if you're interested in personal takes and interviews which do not get interrupted, interviews which focus on how to become financially independent, then this is your channel here. And you might just want to give me a follow. So where did I leave off just now? So this, what will Bitcoin do? You will not have to sell it, at least for the next 20 years. That is also my assessment. Your assessment might be different, but if it is different, maybe look at more data. And no, it's not boring and not complicated. It just takes a little bit of time. My Bitcoin journey took me 9 months. You might be faster, you might be slower. It doesn't matter. But what I do believe, truly believe, is that you will find your time well worth spent on it. So right now, you know that those of you who are in the US certainly know the concept of a reverse mortgage. Those outside of the US may not have heard that term before. What that means is, imagine you have a house and it is fully paid off. And you go to a bank and say, okay, give me cash, give me money for my house. And they will quote you a certain interest rate that you will have to pay on top of, at some stage, maybe paying that house back, or that loan, that mortgage back. That is a reverse mortgage. And we all know that property prices typically go up over a long time span, unless you are so unfortunate that your house should be in an area where less and less people want to move to, or where people are actually fleeing from. That means you need to look at your political surroundings on what is going on in your neighborhood, in your region, in your county, in your state, in your part of the world. I can't do that for you. You have to do it yourself. And if you then, and so you can have a reverse mortgage, you can get money for your property, and your property will hopefully increase in valuation, not in value, just increase in price, because a house needs a new coat of paint, needs repairs. So I consider a house never to be going up in value unless something on the outside politically in that environment changes. And so as it goes up in price, you will be able to pay back that reverse mortgage. But that's maybe a very advanced topic. Let's just concentrate on, you can have something and the bank is willing to give you some money for it because they know that, well, they can always repossess that house if you're not able to pay back that mortgage. So for the bank, it's a good deal. And for you, it might also be a good deal. That's again for you to evaluate. And when you consider Bitcoin to be cyber property, a property in cyberspace, then you can maybe also follow the concept that someday, and I also believe someday soon, you'll be able to go and put that Bitcoin into custody, borrow against it. And I also believe that for the next 10 years or so, the compounded annual growth rate, if you don't know that term yet, maybe look it up, CAGR, compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin, will be somewhere between 40 and 45%. You can haggle and say 50%, maybe 35% or 30%. But on average, the estimation of it being somewhere between 40 and 45% might seem realistic. That's for you to decide after adequate study. And when you take your mortgage interest of maybe 8% right now here in the United States for a house, I realize that right now, if you loan against your Bitcoin, that the percentage is higher, but rates will come down in due course. And that's a topic for another day on why I believe they will come down. Again, for you to assess for yourself. But even if we take the, I think it is 12 to 15% that is currently in the market there for loaning your Bitcoin, which can be a risky thing, you have to evaluate if that bank or that institution loaning you the dollars or whatever currency you have against your Bitcoin, if they'll still be around. How much of a risk do you have that they suddenly disappear together with your Bitcoin? And that's again a topic for another day to touch on upon more. But let's just go with the math for now. Let's say you have a 10% interest rate and Bitcoin goes up by 40% per year. That means, yes, you have 10% interest to pay, but your Bitcoin still goes up by an additional 30% above what you have to pay back. Now, 40% minus 10% is 30%. So even though you took some dollars out, you are still making a profit. And that is the concept behind you never need to sell your Bitcoin. And please keep in mind, do not look at the minute to minute, hour to hour, day by day, week by week, month by month, year to year changes of the price of Bitcoin. Only look at 4-year intervals and beyond. Because in any 4-year interval, doesn't matter which day in the 15-year history of Bitcoin you look, in any 4-year interval, the price of Bitcoin went up significantly. And by my assessment, yours might be different, it will continue to do so forever. For that, I'll wrap it up for today. I tend to always make small nuggets in order to have it digestible. We all have busy lives, busy professions, and things to ponder on. And let's make this an easy transition into financial liberty. Until next time, stay safe, stack sats, hodl.